had a moment, and the world was listening, what would you say about peace? You could say peace is inevitable, that war will end, either through decision or destruction. We have a choice. For the first time in history, it is possible to view the entire planet with all its human diversity as it truly is. Our world is one world. Peace is more than just an end to war. Conflicts just as deadly are raging on hidden battlefields in our hearts and minds. Let's talk peace, real peace, racial, religious, social, economic, personal peace. Peace is possible because it too begins in the heart. A thought for peace from the Baha'i faith.
Brothers and sisters of the Baha'i faith of Dominica, citizens of Dominica, friends and well-wishers of the faith, the Baha'i faith that is, we welcome you to this astounding program that we have here with us today in this new age. We have with us Brother James Elijiho and his sister Therese Elijiho, and they're both brothers and sisters from Belize. And they actually come from the southern part of Belize, that is Dangriga, which is a town in the province or the district of Stan Creek in Belize. And I would like to also tell you that our brother and sister here, Therese and James, they are Garifuna Indians. And we were just earlier on discussing, I asked the question, what is a Garifuna Indian? And he was telling me that, James was telling me that, well, actually it's a descendants from the Negroes and the indigenous Carib people of this region. And I quickly aligned myself and identified myself with this because my grandfather himself is a truly bred Carib. So now I understand what a Garifuna Indian is. Most probably a Garifuna Indian in Dominica. At the same time, we want you to feel comfortable and to sit back. And I'm telling you that Baha'u'llah himself is going to reveal to you through these two messengers that he has sent here, brothers and sisters, James and Therese from Belize. He's going to reveal to you some astounding facts about the faith, how the faith relates to us in the Caribbean, particularly to us in Dominica. They're going to be talking about their mission here. They're going to be talking about various aspects of the faith that will most probably enlighten you and answer some of the questions that you have or doubts that you have had in your mind about the faith. So, to the program, we welcome you, Brother Therese and Sister Therese, excuse me, and Brother James Elijiho.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, at the same time, I'll also take the opportunity to thank the government of Dominica for allowing you all to be free in this country and to respect the faith as it is, and would really like to take time off to tell them thank you for that. Now, one of the first things most probably your viewers would like to find out about both of you all is your purpose for being here in Dominica. As a matter of fact, who came first?
Well, I was the one who came first. I came since March, and actually I'll be leaving tomorrow. That gave me 4 months of being in Dominica, and I really had a nice time, I must say that. We were based, or I was based in the Carib territory, and that is where James will be based as well. The purpose of our being in Dominica is basically to work closely with the Baha'i community and also with the Carib Council to assist in whatever community development there is that we can assist with. And James could probably say some more on that.
Yes, well, I've been here now since the 10th of this month, and that makes it a little above 2 weeks. And my work will be basically to follow up on that which Therese has done. And it gives me really a great deal of opportunity to be able to do that, because the contacts that she have made actually make it quite enthusiastic to me, especially since these people are demonstrating how eager they are to be able to learn about the faith and to use this knowledge in their own development. And in that light, I really feel so happy, to be here, to be able to serve as a person to also contribute to the community development project that the Baha'i community of Dominica is carrying on presently.
Right. Probably we can zero in on, since we are on the purpose there, of your particular experience. Anything that you appreciated extraordinarily in terms of your stay in the Carib Reserve and the faith itself?
Yes. During the time that I was in the Carib territory, I got involved with various activities. There is a women's group that is existing in the Carib territory. Well, actually there are several women's groups, and I've been working closely with the Crayfish Women's Group through Nurse Sylvie Paris. That is based on the community level. And other things that I was doing was basically meeting people and sharing with them, the principles of the Baha'i faith, where it contributes to this whole thing of the community development, because we see community development not only in a physical aspect, but it also has a spiritual aspect to it, and that comes with the principles of the faith. So in that respect, we shared a lot about our spirituality and how it relates to our development at large. And this is really the work that we're doing. When we talk of community development, it's basically sharing the Baha'i principles or the Baha'i ideals about the community, not forgetting our physical aspects, but neither are we forgetting the spiritual aspect. We see these two as coming together when we talk of community development.
Now, you all well, Therese has been based in the Carib Reserve, James, and now you're going to follow up. And why the Carib Reserve? Why that particular group of indigenous people?
Well, that's really an interesting question, and it definitely carries a lot of weight. One of the things that we find in the faith are various prophecies, or what we call, predictions in other terms, which have to do with indigenous people. And in relation to the Indian people, actually, Abdul Baha, the son of Baha'u'llah himself, mentioned that should the Indian people be educated and properly guided, that there is no doubt that they will become so enlightened that the whole world will be illumined by them. And because of that particular focus that the Baha'i faith itself has, we find it quite pertinent in order to give these people, at least the Carib people, whom I'm really related to, being a Garifuna, the opportunity to be able to develop this potential that lie within them spiritually, and to be able to fulfill that particular destiny. Because we cannot separate the development, of the world from the development of the Carib people per se, because as we know, the part actually influences a great deal the whole, and we are seeing the Carib people as a part, of the whole world, and without the development, of that special characteristic or that special spiritual potency that lie within the Carib people, the world at large won't be able to develop to that particular height that Baha'is see it as a destiny. So here in Dominica, it's a great deal of opportunity that we have these people here, the Carib Indians, to be able to develop them so that they can contribute their portion to the development to the world at large.
Yes, I would agree to that, because the faith itself mentions the fact that the whole world is like a garden of flowers, and that all the different cultures and the different people that are in it should remain themselves naturally as how they are. They should preserve their culture, they should preserve their customs and so on, and at the same time be part and parcel of this one great family whose head is God the Father Almighty.
Definitely.
And I believe in that, because what happens is that even we, I would say, the black people ourselves in the Caribbean, we have lost a lot of our cultural heritage, which was deeply rooted into our spiritual lives as Africans. And right now, it's like as though we are trying to search and struggle. You can see our art forms trying to bring out that struggle, trying to identify, trying to find ourselves back again. It's because most probably along the line, we went into assimilation too much and we took up too many foreign things. But I really would endorse and encourage that move to help the Carib people remain themselves and even to find themselves, more possibly to bring back their language and their style of living, because it was so pure in those days.
Yes, definitely. And not to, or you could go ahead.
Sorry, but I just wanted to add that, you know, what we're really seeing in this, in the kind of work that we're doing or we're involved in, is really the coming of two things together, our physical aspect and our spirituality, where in the beginning, I think we didn't really see religion that way. We saw religion as something that was not really quite understood. And now we are understanding that it is really a way of life. It's a way of life where we see the growth of man being holistic, you know, where we can see that education is important in terms of growing spiritually, because we really need to know what we're getting into, and in order for us to get to know this, we have to be able to be taught. That is where education comes in. And I think at this point we can also look at this whole thing of the search of the individual search after truth in that aspect. And that is where I think every ethnic group comes in, and why we are also working with the Carib people, where these people can really see their destiny, you know, just like every other culture will be able to see that. And I think it's something that we should really focus into, you know, where we get this understanding of a holistic way of life. When we think of religion, we're not only thinking of people prostrating and praying, but we're looking at a way of life. That is what really the faith is offering. And it's a great hope for mankind if we really look into that seriously.
Yeah, because I mean to say, the Bible itself, which is basically the book that most Dominicans would be relying on for guidance and truth, tells you that God created everything good. And most probably what went wrong is that we, as mankind, probably failed in responding positively to that goodness that God gave us. And so we now, the Baha'i faith is now calling us back to responsibly handle the works of God and to continue creating goodness, so that people will become one and people will respect each other and all these good, nice things that are waiting for us. So at this point, probably we'll take a break.
If you only had a moment and the world was listening, what would you say about peace? You could say recognizing the oneness of mankind is fundamental to real peace. Racism is loose in the world. It's one of our oldest and most destructive evils. Racism violates the dignity of man and has no place in a peaceful world. True unity requires compassion and loving kindness towards all peoples of the earth. Peace is more than just an end to war. Conflicts just as deadly are raging on hidden battlefields in our hearts and minds. Let's talk peace, real peace, racial, religious, social, economic, personal peace. Peace is possible because it too begins in the heart. A thought for peace from the Baha'i faith.
Well, we hope that message really went down straight to your heart. At the same time, I'd like to tell you that the Baha'i faith is letting you know that don't be discouraged. It's a wonderful age to be existing and to be living in. Things that people before have never seen. You are fortunate, their children, to be seeing these things, these revelations and these creations. Now we're going back to our topic. I'm going to ask James a special question this time. Now, James, could you let us know exactly how is Dominica going to benefit spiritually from the Baha'i faith?
All right. I think, first of all, we have to focus on the people that actually make up the major populations of Dominica. And as we had mentioned, first of all, the Indian people having a special spiritual destiny. We also have the black people living here. And Baha'u'llah himself said that the black people, they are like the pupil of the eye. And that in itself indicates to what extent the black people will be able to give insights into the divine teachings so that we'll be able to use these teachings to be able to govern ourselves. So if looking on Dominica spiritually, we see two of these people here, the Carib and the black. And whenever these two groups really get together, it will be adding on to the power that they have spiritually. So that whenever we are thinking about these people actually evolving as a nation, as a spiritual nation, what we'll have are two people coming together, demonstrating what the faith itself has within itself, latent, to be able to manifest in community life. And that in itself will be a time that we'll be able to actually appreciate what Baha'i community development really is, based upon the principles, that we have within the faith. And the most important aspect of the Baha'i faith is that of unity. And Baha'u'llah himself had mentioned also that so powerful is the light of unity that it can illumine the whole earth. So that the community life that will be generated based upon the life that the Carib and the blacks will be actually coming together to establish, we are certain that this will set a pace for other people in the world to learn actually how to live in unity, in harmony, and actually have well-being, peace, and security. Not one that is based upon unity because of uniformity, one people living together, because that's quite easy. But whenever we start thinking about people being united with all the differences which actually make people beautiful, that is the thing that will be enhancing the kind of community development that Baha'is are focusing on.
And Baha'u'llah endorses that by, letting us know that his world, the world of God, is a world of diversity, of many different people, many different languages. And it is in that diversity that he, God, is, in this new world order, is establishing that oneness, that togetherness. So it's a beautiful world. It's just like a rose garden. It's like, well, not exactly like a rose garden. It's like a garden with a lot of beautiful flowers. And you're beautiful, I am beautiful, and James and Therese are beautiful. Now, let's talk a little bit about the New World Order, because all type of governments are mentioned in the New World Order. America is mentioned in the New World Order, Dominica is mentioned in the New World Order, Russia is mentioned in the New World Order, and the world is quaking and people are shaking. What's this New World Order all about in terms of the Baha'i faith?
Well, the way that we look at this New World Order, it is one that is based upon what you have, just mentioned, that oneness. For us to be able to look at each other, not as, just beings in bodies, but as beings that are spiritual, that have transcendental, it's beyond earth destiny. So that whenever we see ourselves in that light, we immediately start to treat ourselves differently, because whenever you regard something spiritual, something that is made by your Heavenly Father, a creator that really loves you, immediately what happens is that you focus upon the development of that spiritual aspect that you have within yourself. And so because of seeing each other as the children, of one God that we so love, immediately we'll start to think about focusing upon how is it that we'll be able to help each other to develop, not to compete against each other, but to look at the potential that each person has, each culture has, each country has, and to see how is it that we're going to allow that culture, that people, that country to develop to such an extent that all the peoples of the world will be able to benefit therefrom. And what we are seeing right now actually is that circumstances are forcing us to start to think in this way, and that's why we are constantly hearing world leaders talking about this new world order. But about 150 years ago, Baha'u'llah himself had written to the world leaders, including Queen Victoria of England, the Tsar of Russia, we also have the Shah of Iran, the Sultan of Turkey, talking to them about establishing this new world order that now most world leaders are speaking about. So it's really wonderful, you know, for us to be able to have these teachings. That's actually a complete system, starting with the individual, relating in relation to his community, and also talking about the role of the family in community life, you know, talking about the role of education in community life, also the role of education, and all these things on a universal basis. Because Baha'u'llah himself mentioned, and he said this, that the earth is but one country, and mankind its citizens.
You're actually making goose pimples come on me. Now, Therese, tell me exactly, or tell us exactly, where does you, a woman, fit into this whole world order concept?
Well, just a little bit to add to what James has said, and then I'll come in with that, is that, you know, the whole system of a new world order has a lot of implications to it. It has principles that has to go with it. And some of these principles has to do with, one, the equality of man and woman. You know, that is where I fit. In addition to that, there is also this complementary of the science and religion and the necessity of the education of all people, both male and female, because we know in the past, women has been seen as subservient to men, and when it comes to the education of children, the male was usually given the preference over the female. Now, in the Baha'i teachings, we know that the mother is really the foundation of society, because she is the first educator of her children. And that is where the woman stands in terms of the New World Order, where we are seen as the ones who will train our children. And a part of this training has to do with a new orientation, where we see the male and the female as complements to each other, and we have to train our children that way, that they will grow up and see each other as complements more than one being superior to the other. And this principle is very important for all of us to really keep in the forefront of our minds and not in the back of our minds, because it plays a role where the foundation of a new society will be built upon, because it's an ideology, it's a way of thinking where we will be working together to push forward this new world order, where we will be helping each other. It is not a matter of uniformity. It is not that the woman will become a man or the man becomes a woman, but it has to do with this whole thing of opportunity and complementing each other in terms of ideas as to, you know, what will we do for our community? What is wrong here, and how can we come together and discuss? Consultation is a key to this, because the woman and the man have ideas, we have knowledge, and through sharing this knowledge, it can really set this firm foundation in order for us to move forward, where we will not be fighting each other for ideas, but we will be complementing each other, and we will find the solution through this consultation. It has a lot to do with women really taking her place too, because at this point we feel very strongly that in most tradition, women see herself as a person who is behind the scenes, you know, and we take that role sometimes. Nevertheless, we can see that women are now getting out of that and stepping forward and giving ideas in terms of, you know, the development of the world. And she's becoming more active in the affairs of her community and of her world, so to speak. But this has to take ground, you know, and not just be on the surface. It has to be something that is taught in the schools. It has to be an idea that the mothers are giving to their children. It has to be a thing that is an everyday way of life, that we do not just, kind of just by chance meet this kind of idea, but that it becomes an integral part of our lives, that we see women as men, as citizens of one world and complementing each other in terms of the development of the world. It also has to do with our own spiritual battles too, because even in the past we see that in religion, women were kind of, still in the back porch, if we want to say it that way. But now we are also seeing women becoming more active, and she's seen as a spiritual being. In time before this, she was seen as somebody that has no soul, but now we are seeing all this changing, and it's a good sense of growth for all of us, and it's actually an effect of this new world order, of this new spirit that has been blown into man since the revelation or the advent of the Baha'i faith, since the coming of the Bab and expounded upon with the coming of Baha'u'llah.
One of the things that, you see, the Bible and these holy scriptures that have been written for man, it's something that has to be really become part of you. And we have been praying in Dominica for a very long time as Christians, as members of our faith, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And here it is, Baha'u'llah has ushered in the tools, the principles, the guidelines that we have to play a very important part in building and bringing about this real heaven on earth. And nobody else is going to do it. We are the ones that the Holy Spirit is endowing and empowering to help to build this kingdom here on earth. And the principles of the Baha'i faith, as taught by Baha'u'llah and written by him personally, is here with us to stay for eternity. And I'm letting you know that you have to take that opportunity right now to individually search. And Christ himself said that, you must search for truth. Although he came and he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He said, search for truth. And so the scriptures are here from the Baha'i faith, and you're free to write to the Baha'i Center at any time, write to the Baha'i faith, and ask for this information. Because I know out there your heart is thirsting. You're wondering what's happening to yourself, but the Lord is here. Well, we've come to the end of our discussion with James and Therese Elijiho from Belize. We encourage you to tune in next time on the same station, that is, to continue this vibrating talk on the Baha'i faith with the brother and sister team. Welcome this week to our second part of the discussion with Therese and James Elijiho from Belize. They are two Baha'is from that country, and they are brothers and sisters. But before we get into the discussion with them tonight, we'll just listen to this message.
If you only had a moment, and the world was listening, what would you say about peace? You could say peace is inevitable, that war will end, either through decision or destruction. We have a choice. For the first time in history, it is possible to view the entire planet with all its human diversity as it truly is. Our world is one world. Peace is more than just an end to war. Conflicts just as deadly are raging on hidden battlefields in our hearts and minds. Let's talk peace, real peace. racial, religious, social, economic, personal peace. Peace is possible because it too begins in the heart. A thought for peace from the Baha'i faith.
The Baha'i faith we see as a fulfillment, actually, of prophecies of the past. And this is, to my understanding, where the term progressive revelation comes in. As James mentioned earlier, that the development of the world, or every country, has always been based on the advent of a religion, or a dispensation, if we should call it that way. And this is based on the teachings or the revelation of Abraham at one point, of Moses on another, and Christ came and he gave his revelation, and Muhammad came and he gave a revelation. And with the coming of all these messengers, we see a transformation in the life of communities, in the life of nations. And with the Baha'i faith, or the revelation of Baha'u'llah, we see this as a fulfillment and a move towards another level of the evolution of mankind. So we see this as an answer, really, to all the questions that we have. We see it as a healing medicine to all the ills of the world. And where does this come from? It has to do with us zeroing in to the teachings and the guidance that we have in these writings. This is where the answer is. It has very little to do with the personality of the messengers. We have to focus mainly on the message that they have given to us, because this is the essence of their coming. It's the revelation that they have to give to mankind, where we must really look into this and see what it is that they're giving to us. And we use it, we exploit it for the development of mankind. And that is where really the Baha'i faith fits in. There's more to it, but just to kind of comment a little bit, that's what I think about that.
Okay, do you have anything to say on the progressive revelation?
Definitely. Just in addition to what Therese herself had mentioned, I think what has to be looked upon, especially at this time when most people are really into development, I think we can look at the stages, that the world itself has gone through. And in the Baha'i writings, it actually indicates that the world is growing just as a child grows. When we think about a child, we realize, that that child does not have that much mental capacity to be able to take in all the learning that a particular school can give to that child. So what we have is that we have classes. We have infant 1, infant 2, or, sometimes we call them grades. All right? And in these grades, what we get is an increase of the knowledge that we have been getting, or we have gotten in the previous class. And so when you talk about the teachings of Abraham, we talk again about the teachings of Krishna. It's moving on to that teaching that we have been promised, which is the teaching about global consciousness, which we have now. And so what we are seeing is that constantly the messengers come, they talk about what we have gotten, they review everything that we have gotten with us, and then they give us a new teaching. And again, when it comes to the social aspect, we have seen that the teachings of God have gone from more like family unity, having to do with the family being together. So teachings like the teachings of Abraham was for that. We also get into that phase where we had tribal unity. Like when we think about the teachings of Moses, the teachings that he gave was basically to hold a tribe of people together. After the coming of Christ, we found that there was the establishment of city-states. And with the coming of Muhammad, whom was actually called nation builder, we have the formations of nations. And so what is logically the next stage? We logically come to the point that definitely there need to be another set of teaching to carry us into that next phase of human evolution. And this is actually marked by the coming of every messenger of God. And so that if somehow we are maybe confused about our prophecies, then we can look at the logical development of the world, and then we try to find out, okay, what's supposed to be the next phase that we go into. And if somebody is claiming to say, okay, I have come with teachings that has to do with that next phase, then we need to investigate it, because definitely it can be true, and definitely it can be false. And so that is why Baha'u'llah himself tells us to investigate, so that if we are Christians, we use our gospel. If we are from the Muslim faith, we use our Quran. If we're from any particular religion, we use that book, so that we'll be able to appreciate him. And through studying the life of Baha'u'llah, the sacrifices that he went through, I do not believe that we'll be able to doubt him, as a messenger of God, whom will go through suffering 40 years, and the most horrible kind, just to bring a message to humanity. And a suffering that actually involves the separation from your family, from your homeland, and from everything beautiful that you can actually experience. And you leave that. And now, also, we are seeing how Baha'u'llah's words itself is demonstrating itself in such a way that it is so clear about what he himself said. He said that even before humanity accepts his most holy book, that they will be actually fulfilling, they'll be carrying out the requirements that he himself has set as a means or as steps towards that global civilization that he has come to set. And we can see this so clearly. What part of the world, as we have mentioned, is not connected now to a world system? We can actually feel that we are part of a global system at this moment. And on the basis of that, on the basis of these logics, we can see, or we can think for ourselves. Let us think, and see if this does not fit into what we can call progressive revelation.
Well, what this reminds me of is a particular song that says, if you run to the east was falling, or if you run to the west was falling, the rock was melting, and it leaves us right where we are, okay? So, as a matter of fact, as James said, the whole world is connected. But the most important thing that you have to remember is that you are part of God's system, and he's the Father, and we are all one. And he wants you out there to take the opportunity for today to investigate the Baha'i faith, ask questions about it, criticize if you want to, but have your facts down. Have your Bible right at your side, or your Quran, or your whatever, or the books that you have, or whatever faith that you belong in, and investigate it. Make it your duty to find out what is this all about. I myself did it, because when the faith came into Dominica, I got introduced to the faith outside of Dominica, but while I was in Dominica, I started asking questions about it. I started reading books about it, and it made sense, a lot of sense. And today I can say that, praise God for this, and greater thanks to Baha'u'llah for having given me the opportunity. And somewhere deep within me, I feel just as James feels, that my brother in Switzerland wants to come to Dominica to find out who I am. And I long to go to Mexico to find out who these people are, and the whole world is one family. Now, at this particular time, I would like to ask a question so that our viewers could understand what the Baha'i faith is, and the growth that the Baha'i faith is going through, especially in particular parts of this world, in the Caribbean, Guyana, and so on. And there's a particular term that is used in our faith, entry by troops. And I would like you to explain that to our viewers.
Entry by troops. Well, we see entry by troops as a process, again, that is based on the investigation of the individuals of what the Baha'i faith is, what it has to offer, what are the teachings, and what is it really based on. And really today, James again had mentioned, the whole thing of people already getting to recognize what the Baha'i faith is and what it has really done to the development of mankind at large. One of the things that I'd like to mention is that the Baha'i faith at this point is the one of the fastest growing faiths in the world. The Baha'i faith has been established in every country of the world. And it's second only to Christianity in terms of the spreading of the faith. This, I think, is something that we should really look at. You know, it's very significant because the Baha'i faith is only 150 plus years since the dispensation, you know, starting from the declaration of the Bab, who is the forerunner of Baha'u'llah. And in 150 years, to have a faith being established in every country of the world is something that is very impressive, and I think we should really look into this. And that is, to me, a step towards the entry by troops, where we see that people are really opening their minds. People are seeking into what the Baha'i faith is. And there are so many things that are happening that, you know, many of us are getting so confused. And what the Baha'i faith is doing is giving us this sense of hope, is bringing back to us the whole purpose of our lives. It's giving to us, you know, the revelation of God for this age, which is always the answer for the development of the individual, the development of a community and of the world at large. I would turn over to James. I guess he would like to say some more on that.
Actually, in the same vein, as Therese has clearly indicated, actually, this entry by troops has been prophesied, you know, even from Baha'u'llah himself. Baha'u'llah himself indicated that soon will all that dwell on earth be enlisted under this banner, indicating that everybody on the long run will come into the Baha'i faith. And how does this actually happen? It's again related to this new kind of thinking that circumstances has actually bring us to. As you mentioned, we cannot think again as one particular people. You know, we cannot think that we are separated anymore. We are, as you mentioned, all connected. And because of that, this world-embracing vision has become so natural. And why natural? There is another side to it. There's a spiritual side to it. And Baha'u'llah himself explained this. Baha'u'llah himself mentioned that with the utterance of every word, that there was a spiritual power that actually pervaded all created things. And so our conscience in this time is actually in essence Baha'i, or what we mean universal, all right? Because the Baha'i faith itself, you know, let you get to appreciate the oneness, you know, of all things, all right? And so this is the kind of consciousness that is evolving, and because of that kind of thinking, we are naturally drawn towards each other to be able to establish this faith, at least through the power that has been released also, and through the natural forces, you know, that's actually operating in the world at this time. And you mentioned about actually the faith in the Caribbean itself. This entry by troops has actually demonstrated itself in the Caribbean, as you mentioned, like Guyana. Presently, they're about 6%, all right, of the population of Guyana in the Baha'i faith. And that in itself is indicating the number of people that have declared their faith. Many times we find that outside of the people that have actually declared their faith as Baha'is, there are many more people that are having the same kind of thinking. And on the basis of that kind of thinking, we come into the faith. Because what happens is that when we teach somebody the Baha'i faith, and that person is thinking, they will automatically, based upon the facts that can be passed onto that individual, start to realize, definitely this is the way that I am thinking. Many people are thinking in this fashion, and so they find a harmony. They find that they can relate to the faith, all right? And that is because of this new spirit, this new creation that we are a part of. And again, as I mentioned, this is explained by Baha'u'llah himself when he said that with the coming of every manifestation, every messenger, you know, because of the words that he revealed, there comes a new creation. And he referred to this in relation to Christ, in relation to all the messengers. So in essence, really, we are all thinking now universal because of this new creation that we are a part of. And because of that, many more people will be coming into the faith. And as I mentioned, that entry by troops has to do with many people coming into the faith in a short space of time. In Belize, it's happening too. All right? We have about 6% of the population of Belize in the Baha'i faith now. And as Therese has mentioned, all over the world, the faith is. Wherever you go, you find Baha'is. And whosoever is thinking, they can see the logics. They can see how necessary the Baha'i faith is. That even the world leaders are promoting a new world order. That is a Baha'i idea. So in essence, as I mentioned, all of us basically are Baha'is. We only need to discover ourselves, to be part of this whole movement that the whole world finds itself necessary to support.
What I like about the name Baha'i is that it neutralizes you as a child of God. You belong to God, and God is the Father, and He's one. And there's no prejudice about that name. It makes you one. No matter what country that you go, once you're Baha'i, you're welcome. You will find friends that will not lead you into anything that is bad or anything like that. You'll find good people who will bring you to good people and more good people until you actually see the real vision. You feel good about it. At this point, probably we will take a break.
If you only had a moment and the world was listening, what would you say about peace? You could say there are spiritual values, or what some call human values, by which solutions can be found for every social problem. But good intentions are usually not enough. We must develop a will, a dynamic attitude that translates spiritual values into practical actions. Peace is more than just an end to war. Conflicts just as deadly are raging on hidden battlefields in our hearts and minds. Let's talk peace, real peace, racial, religious, social, economic, personal peace. Peace is possible because it too begins in the heart. A thought for peace from the Baha'i faith.
At this particular time, I would like to take the opportunity to gratefully thank Therese and James Elijiho for being on this particular program. They are two young people, and they are actually on fire in the faith, and their words are actually emblazoning the whole air. And I know there are lots of you all out there who are thirsty, who have been asking questions about the faith, who have been giving compliments about the faith, and you all want to know more. Well, now is the time that you should take the opportunity to actually know more about the faith. It is your right as a Dominican to know about anything that's happening in your land, to ask questions about it, new concepts, whatever it is. Ask questions about it, read about it. If you can't read or write, ask a good friend of yours who can read and write to do it for you, and to let you know what this whole Baha'i faith is all about, how you can become a member of the Baha'i faith, how you can be part of the new kingdom of God on earth. So Therese and James, well, Therese is actually going to leave us. Do you have any last thing to say? We need something from you.
Last thing to say, well, I would like to say it's the last thing, but
okay,
something to say before I leave, because I hope to come back to Dominica. I would like to thank the country of Dominica for the time that I have spent here, and all the people that I have met, the contacts, the friends, for their loving appreciation of my being here, their friendliness, their kindness. It was really wonderful. And for all the youths out there, I would really like to encourage them to really seek into what the Baha'i teachings are. What is it all about? Because this is our opportunity. The vision of Baha'u'llah, the teachings of Abdul Baha, who is his son and the exemplar of the Baha'i faith, and even Shoghi Effendi as the guardian of the Baha'i faith, has really placed their hope and their trust in the youths to really carry forward this new ideology, this new hope for mankind. And it is our duty to really look into this and to give every inch of our effort, every inch of our energy possible for this cause, because we're doing it not only for ourselves, we're doing it as a gift to the growth of mankind. This time or this era is really seen as the time for the fullness of the growth of mankind, and we should be proud to be contributors to this cause in any way possible. So I would encourage all the Baha'i youth, especially, I challenge them to really do everything they can in order for more people to really get to understand what the Baha'i faith is. This is not excluding the elderly or even the children at all, but because of the energy that youths have, because of a lot of time we have to really offer for this cause, I challenge them to really take up this opportunity in order for them to contribute to the development of the world.
And June, probably, I'm thinking of my wife, June. Okay, but that's wonderful. Like we know that we are all one, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And what I'd like to see, probably hear from you, James, is you're going to be taking over from Therese, who's leaving tomorrow.
That's right.
And probably words of expectation.
Yes, definitely. Well, as I had mentioned before, my work will be mainly based upon following up from what Therese has actually done, to add to the knowledge that those people already have gotten from her, and to also continue supporting the Carib Council in whatsoever project they'll be carrying on. And in relation to that, actually, I have been approached by the Carib chief to be actively involved in the Carib Week, which will be in September. And I'm really looking forward to that. Besides the work that I have to do within the Baha'i community of strengthening the believers and exposing them to the functions that they themselves as individuals and as institutions, to carry forward. And really, I would like to also mention, to Dominicans in general about the great opportunity that we have whenever we are Baha'is, because we, as I mentioned, what has been revealed to us is a complete system. Whenever we think about the Baha'i teachings as Baha'is, we know that it is, as Therese had mentioned, a way of life. There is knowledge for us there to be able to get to appreciate our own self as a creation of God, as beings that have been created noble, as mentioned by Baha'u'llah in his own words. And I think that is so important, so that we could get to appreciate our own potential and to feel and to know that we can contribute to this entire process. And it's not anything that is strange. It is part of a process that is going on. And so I really feel that especially the teachers, especially leaders, regardless of what leadership they're taking on, to investigate the Baha'i faith and to let them become exposed, to this whole spiritual vision, which has substantial information for us to be able to develop on, at least through applying those things in our daily life and, in our work and in everything that we do. And I really see it as the only way, that the world will be able to have peace. And I see it as the only way that individuals themselves will be able to have peace within themselves, to become reconnected with their Creator. Because this, as Baha'u'llah says, is the day of God.
Thank you very much, James and Therese. And Therese, we're going to wish you a bon voyage and fond memories on the plane. And when you reach Dominica, they'll have to ask you where those mud came from. Tell them it's from Dominica.
Thank you very much.
It's a blessed mud in Dominica. And we'd like to thank you, the viewers out there, for sitting patiently with us. looking at this program and getting some deeper insight into what the Baha'i faith is all about. As I said, I'll encourage you to take the opportunity as a citizen of Dominica. It's your right to know about the faith, ask questions about it, criticize it, tear it up to pieces if you want to, but know about the faith. And you can always get in contact with the National Spiritual Assembly of Dominica. So thank you once again. Good night.